All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
What's going on, guys? In this video, I want to go over the inverse correlation between the DXY and BTC and have a look at things from a zoomed out perspective and also on a more day-to-day perspective and show you guys how all of this is tying into each other right now. So basically what we're looking at here is, okay, first of all, for those who don't know, when the DXY goes up, traditional markets and risk on assets go down. When the DXY goes down, traditional markets and risk on assets go up, right? Keeping it super basic, right? It's an inverse correlation. So what we're looking at here is a very long-term trend line in the world's leading currency. It stands to reason that we're going to get a huge pump to the upside, right? Causing BTC to have that final push to the downside, right? So we have the DXY that pulled back. The DXY pulled back and consolidated for quite a long time at this trend line that's been around since the inception of the DXY. So it stands to reason that we get a pop at least up to maybe say a 50% level or something like that. It looks like this thing's going to pop up to the median line as far as I'm concerned. And if it does, that's going to send the price of Bitcoin much, much lower, like that final leg down that we were discussing and the SPX and all the, it's going to send things a lot lower, ladies and gentlemen. But there's one little caveat, right? There's one thing I'm watching. So let's get into it right now. The smaller term time frame is showing that we have maybe one more pullback with the DXY, and that would be this press to the upside for BTC that I've been discussing in these videos, right? But the one thing that we're watching, right? We got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave to the upside, which would make sense before we roll over. The one thing that we're watching that would negate this whole thing is if price gets above and holds above 98K, starts to consolidate and press up, that would change the whole structure of the market. It would change the macro bearish outlook into a macro bullish outlook. But anything other than anything other than it being negated, it still stands to reason that we're going to head much, much higher in this market, right? I mean, much, much higher with the DXY, much, much lower with BTC. So, alarm bells should be ringing for everybody just looking at this chart, right? We're just finishing a C wave, Elliott wave, C wave, and I think this thing is about to absolutely pump to the upside. So what this chart is showing me right here is that the bears are starting to step in. With this engulfing candle right here, it's very powerful. Obviously, traders tried to trade at support, but the price pushed right through the support level, causing the engulfing candle in the weekly, and this candle closed right here. So basically what this is showing is that the bears are stepping in. So even if we do have the 1, 2, 3, 4, fifth wave of the Elliott wave to the upside, it doesn't really matter because there's a lot of bearish pressure. And let me just show you guys a few examples back here. What you see right here is an engulfing candle, one more press to the upside, and it continues down because the bears are starting to step in. Same thing right here, engulfing candle, pressure to the downside, bulls tried to step back in for a fifth wave, and then this thing continued to the downside. Right, so let me just bring you back here, just keeping it really simple. What we're watching for right now, in my opinion, is this final fifth wave to the upside. We're going to see how strong it is, and then I think we're going to continue this thing macro bearish to the downside. It's going to keep going down as far as I'm concerned. Levels I'm watching, 88,530 and 97,841. The one level we really want to watch is 97,841 as a place where price can get negated. If price gets above and holds above this candle right here, if price gets above, let's say call it 98K and holds above 98K, then that changes the whole outlook of the market. It changes, it puts us more into a bullish outlook. I think if this level gets negated, it's looking very bullish for the markets. Anything other than that, price gets rejected right here, the markets are headed much, much lower as far as I'm concerned. Moving on. So this chart right here is really screaming that we have one more move to the downside coming, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get into it. What this is showing is a timing window for every single bear market throughout history. It just shows us basically the time of every one of these bear markets and how long it took to get to the bottom. So right here we have 427 days to the downside, bear market. 427 days to the downside, bear market. 427 days to the downside, bear market. And does it not stand to reason that we're going to see the same thing right here, at least in that general vicinity? I think people are getting way ahead of themselves here. So let's look into this. According to this chart right here, ladies and gentlemen, we're only halfway through the bear market. And not to mention, price isn't just going to fall and do one straight up move and continue like that. These things correct in A B, C patterns to the downside, Elliott wave A, B, C patterns. And as far as I'm concerned, we have quite a bit of ways to go to the downside. Even if we do pop up a little bit right here, this thing is probably going to continue to the downside all the way till roughly November 2026, ladies and gentlemen. And not to mention, let me zoom out a little bit. Let's take a look at this long-term curve right here, long-term trend line. This is also showing that we have a little bit of room still to the downside to go. So keeping it super simple, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to move on to this part right here. What we're seeing here is bear market bottom, bull market top, bear market bottom, bull market top, bear market bottom, bull market top. So it stands to reason that it would be a good thing to wait until this general vicinity right here before you bought anything. So that's what we're doing. If you guys want to know exactly where we're buying, by the way, make sure you hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and stay tuned and all that good stuff. So basically, really looking at this chart, what you're seeing here is this would have been a good time to buy. This would have been a good time to buy. This would have been a good time to buy. And this will be a good time to buy. So keeping it super simple, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want to know exactly where we're getting in our positions and what we're doing and all that good stuff, then make sure you join the fam. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe, and stay tuned for more. I love you guys. I'm out. Peace.